if you don't know how to deal with a secondary lender forcing them to take a haircut, you sure as heck better pair up with someone who does, because it's going to be a piece of your knowledge base that you're going to need in the coming years, as we certainly in the next couple of years. I don't see this abating.
How are the lenders responding? So I have everything from one guy, because he was delinquent often, they gave him, after 2 months of arrears, they had the writ of possession signed. Another guy, he has 11 months from home trust behind, but because he's got equity, they're like, just, they keep extending it because he's got so much equity, and then they hired us to get it sold. So what are you seeing? Like, are you seeing generosity from the lenders, strict like adherence to their
You
rights, or?
usually, if there's a buyer, if there's an owner who's communicating with a lender and there's sufficient equity in the property, you'll find that the lenders have some heart and they'll give you a couple of extra months here or there. That's not something that is uncommon, but it is uncommon to have people who are communicating directly with the lender by the time things hit a power of sale situation. The truth is 97% of people are at that point ducking and covering, which I don't know why that's a good option, but that's what most people do. They're just like, all right, I'm just not going to talk about this. I know there's nothing I can do.
Mhm.
And at that point, the process is engineered to be pretty fluid, and you name it. Um, I'm seeing a lot of secondary lenders lose their shirt. A lot of people who were in the secondary lending space didn't know what the, you swear on this show all the time. What the hell? I remember from the previous instances that I was watching in the past, right? It's a,
Of course.
uh, um, they don't know what the fuck they're doing at all. Like they've lent at values that were 90% LTV at height, right? So like they're underwater by 100,000. I've seen lenders underwater at $200,000. And those people have a reckoning as much as buyers have a reckoning. Bad lends are being called, and it is painful for those people for sure. And if you don't know how to deal with a secondary lender forcing them to take a haircut, you sure as heck better pair up with someone who does, because it's going to be a piece of your knowledge base that you're going to need in the coming years, as we certainly in the next couple of years. I don't see this abating.
Can you expand on that? So the people who are bringing you these deals, where the people are underwater, they owe more than what they sold it for. What are those, most likely that would be a secondary lender situation? Are the lenders taking a haircut? What have you
So, okay,
negotiated
well, let me
nicely?
explain why they take a haircut first. Let me explain how the process works. Okay. So let's say that there's $1 million of mortgages that are extended against the property, and you sell a property for, say, $900,000. The first mortgage is for $800,000. The second mortgage is for $200,000. That's the scenario we're going to talk about. Okay. You hire a realtor. The realtor is stupid enough to, well, let's say the realtor isn't stupid. The realtor puts it on the market at 1.1, gets their offer at market price at $900,000. Okay. The realtor, not being stupid, does not accept the agreement. Because if the realtor accepts the agreement, it's a firm and binding agreement. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And then I'll talk about what happens if the realtor does
Okay.
their job properly. If the realtor accepts the agreement, just plain out, without having done any of the preliminary research and understanding what the mortgages are that are on title and everything else, you go to the secondary lender and you say, secondary lender, here's an offer. Please take your haircut. And then the secondary lender says, well, yeah, that's what the market price is. And yeah, I have to take my haircut. But there's this juicy commission of $50,000 due and owing to the agents that is currently sitting in TK's trust account. And I'm aware of what RICO rule says. And what RICO rule says is that if there is an agreement between the seller and the buyer to remove that commission and put it into a lawyer's trust account, the brokerage has to oblige. So I am going to say yes to this agreement. I will provide a discharge statement for my mortgage with my haircut, but I sure as shit ain't taking that haircut without that commission paid to me. The agents themselves can go seek their own compensation from these people. P.S. They'll never see a dime because these people don't have a pot to piss in. Now let's take an agent that actually knows what they're doing. An agent that actually knows what they're doing gets an irrevocable of 72 hours on this offer, then provides it to the secondary lender with the names crossed out, because you don't want the secondary lender to steal this, provides it to the secondary lender through a lawyer that knows what they're doing or anything else, and says, hey, you're screwed. You made a bad lend, and we'll get you out of this situation. And we have market value for this property. Take this offer and pay our agents their commission, and we will sign this back and go firm. Because if you don't, secondary lender, you know that this property is underwater and that this seller is having trouble. And the first lender will eventually end up in a power of sale position themselves. And when they do, they are going to appoint their own realtor who will then eat 5% anyways. It will take much longer to sell this property. And all of that is eating into the available equity because the price of this property ain't going up. And the secondary lender, once that's explained, then says, yes, this is the best deal on the table. Okay, agents, will protect your commission. Let's go. And that's the way this actually has to go. And so we spent a good deal of time in our office doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.